All right, we are live. Hello, greetings and salutations. Uh, what's up? The people already in the chat: Raza, D Truth, William. Hello. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Um, please remember to like the video. Make sure that you're still subscribed, and yeah, I am working furiously. Some days more furiously than other days. Um, on this climate change record that I'm going to put out on Earth Day. Um, so I'm just, giving you guys updates about it. I put a single out for it. I think some of you saw that. And I got some cool, little t-shirts here. See if we can see that in real time. Yeah. If you all are interested, you can find that on my website, kevinsandbloom.com. That's all. Also, I'm doing a live music stream every single day at 5 p.m. on my Instagram, which is at Kevin Sandbloom. So come check that out if you want to hear some music at 5 p.m. Pacific time, Pacific Standard Time. Just Google, what time is it in Los Angeles? And that's what time it is. That's the time that I am at here. So anyways, enough with all the commercials. Boiled rope lamppost Friday gas strike. Indeed. Friday gas strike is still going strong, and actually it's easier than ever because I actually haven't driven my car very much. I think I've driven my car the least it's ever been driven in the last 2 weeks, and it is a wonderful thing. I've literally driven down the street to go to the store probably, twice in the last couple days. So, great for less fossil fuel consumption and great for, less wear and tear on the car. I'm super happy about it. I'm not mad at all. Also, somebody, I think it was Cyrus, posted a really nice link in the comment section. If you are a gig worker and, that's anybody who's a gig worker, can go get some unemployment benefits if you need them. Just sign up. You can use the COVID-19 as your reason for applying for lack of work. If you have lack of work, go do that. Anyways, I'm doing it. I'm in the process of doing it. It takes a little while. D Truth says I can't jam with the lads anytime soon. Yeah. Well, I'm doing purely solo stuff. Although I'm jamming with a few people here and there. Nobody I know has it or families have it, and everybody's been in quarantine for a couple of weeks now, almost. So, kind of hanging out with a few people. I know they don't have it. They know I don't have it. We're not spreading it around. It's just a very select few gatherings here and there. Christian Sorensen asks, how's your isolation going? My isolation is actually going great. Besides the fact that I'm currently broke, I'm actually getting a lot of music done. Doing these regular videos every day. So not much has changed for me except for that I'm being a little more productive on the artistic side, and I'm happy about it. So let's get into the using of the emergency situation in order to hack away at our civil liberties, our civil rights. This is happening, all over the place. This is progressing, and it is not a good sign. And this is something that we really have to be I don't know what we can do about it necessarily at the moment, but I think, at the very least, we can be vocal about it. Um, in whatever way you can, shout about this on social media, bring it to people's attention. Um, some progressive channels are covering this. Um, Here and there, but this is uh, a huge opportunity for the powerful, the power elite, to seize ever more power and to strip away your civil liberties. Don't let it happen. We got to find new and creative ways to not let this happen. So the headline is States quietly pass laws criminalizing fossil fuel protests amid coronavirus chaos. Over the past 2 weeks, Kentucky, South Dakota, and West Virginia approved new laws meant to discourage Dakota Access-style protests. More are on the way. This is from 3 days ago, March 27th. This has already been happening in certain states, Louisiana, and Texas, I believe, have already started to implement some of these laws. At least 3 states passed laws putting new criminal penalties on protests against fossil fuel infrastructure in just the past 2 weeks amid the chaos of the coronavirus pandemic. First came Kentucky. On March 16th, Governor Andy Beshear signed legislation that, while removing some of the original bill's most draconian measures on protest, designated natural gas or petroleum pipelines as key infrastructure assets and made causing damage that totals more than $1,000 or tampering in a manner that renders the operation harmful or dangerous felony charges of criminal mischief in the first degree. So this is a Democrat that signed this. A Democrat that signed this into legislation. So they removed some of the measures. I guess it was much more harsh. So it's lucky we have Democrats looking out for us. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. They'll resist against very minor things or really, really terrible things, but they'll let the pretty terrible things go on through. 2 days later, it was South Dakota on March 18th. Governor Kristi Noem, Republican, signed a bill that expanded the definition of critical infrastructure to include virtually any oil, gas, or utility equipment and raised the charges for causing substantial interruption or impairment of such facilities to felonies. 5 days later, on March 23rd, the governor approved a second measure defining a felony riot as intentional use of force or violence by 3 or more persons that causes any damage to property. So a riot now includes damage to property. On Wednesday, West Virginia followed suit. Governor Jim Justice, Republican, green-lighted legislation assigning the same critical infrastructure status to a wide range of oil, gas, and pipeline facilities, slapping fines as high as $20,000 on anyone found guilty of causing damage, destruction, vandalization, defacing, or tampering that totals $2,500 or more. The wave of legislation came as the United States became the epicenter of the COVID-19, the rapidly spreading respiratory disease caused by the novel virus. By Friday, the U.S. death toll topped 1,000, with more than 100,000 confirmed cases, overwhelming hospitals and forcing doctors to publicly beg for basic medical supplies. The economic fallout exceeded even the worst expectations. 3.3 million Americans filed jobless claims this week, topping both Goldman Sachs' 2.25 million forecast from last week and smashing the previous 1 week record of 695,000 reported job losses. Yet, As experts blamed the White House's back-footed response for inflaming the crisis, the Trump administration appeared to ramp up its environmental agenda, which we have been covering this unfolding situation. Obviously, they ordered the EPA to not enforce pollution rules. And that's exactly what they're talking about, ordering the EPA Enforcement Division to temporarily stop policing polluters, approving a slate of mining projects, auctioning off new drilling leases, and reviving a dormant fight over auto emission standards. Wow. The efforts on both the state and federal level offer jarring real-time examples of what the author Naomi Klein dubbed the shock doctrine. The phenomenon wherein polluters and their government allies push through unpopular policy changes under the smokescreen of a public emergency. Does that sound familiar? I'm forgetting what the acronym is that I'm looking for. Something like, crisis something response or whatever, where, a crisis is either generated or made to happen. And then, the response is already waiting in the wings. Oh, we have this. We can make you guys a whole lot safer if we do this, like enact the Patriot Act after 9/11. That was apparently already written. It was ready to go. And after 9/11 happened, they just signed off on it immediately. While we are all paying attention to the COVID-19 and congressional stimulus packages, state legislatures are quietly passing fossil fuel-backed anti-protest laws. Connor Gibson, the researcher at Greenpeace USA, who tipped HuffPost off to the bill's passage, said by email Friday, these laws do nothing new to protect communities. Instead, they seek to crack down on the sort of nonviolent civil disobedience that has shaped much of our nation's greatest political and social victories. The legislation's similarities were no coincidence, as climate change projections grew more dire, and the bloody 2016 fight to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline became a new Alamo cry for environmentalists. The fossil fuel industry's political allies began promoting state legislation to restrict protests. Oklahoma passed the first legislation protecting pipelines as critical infrastructure in 2017. Shortly after, the American Legislative Exchange Council, otherwise known as ALEC, the conservative policy shop funded by big business and right-wing billionaires, drafted a generic bill it called the Critical Infrastructure Protection Act. In a December 2017 letter sent to state legislators, 5 energy trade groups and 1 large oil company cited what they listed as 6 examples of threats from environmentalists to their facilities and urged them to champion the bill in a bid to head them off. One example was the 2016 case of the so-called valve turners, peaceful protesters who temporarily stopped the flow of heavily polluting tar sands oil through a pipeline. But as HuffPost previously reported, the other incidents cited in the letter had nothing to do with environmentalists. Instead, they were loosely connected to mental illness or workplace grievance, and in at least 2 cases, resulted in successful prosecutions under existing laws. The bills moved forward anyway. By last summer, legislation passed on the ALEC model became law in 5 states. In September, Texas prosecutors charged 24 protesters who briefly halted traffic by suspending themselves from a bridge in one of the nation's largest oil ports under the new law. More bills are on the way. The Alabama State Senate passed its own version on March 12th. Wow. Just before officials alarmed at the spread of the new virus postponed legislative hearings until April. Similar legislation is active in at least 5 other states: Illinois, Minnesota, Mississippi, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, but has not progressed in the past month. Environmentalists and Native American tribes failed to stop construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, which President Donald Trump fast-tracked in 2017. 3 years later, their concerns have proved well-founded. The pipeline leaked 5 times in its first year of operation alone, prompting a federal judge on Wednesday to order the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to conduct a full environmental review. Full environmental review, 4 or 5 years after the fact, after they should have done that. But I guess better late than never. I don't know. Michael Aron in replying to the gas strike, I filled up my car a month back. No need. Yeah. Yeah, I put gas in my car maybe a week or a while ago. A week ago, and I still have lots of gas, so I haven't driven anywhere. It's awesome. It's really great. My life as a full-blown environmentalist / self-isolationist is going great. Prudhomme, Iran offered aid to the USA today. Oh, the irony. You guys need some help? You assholes need some help? That's what they should say. Whoa, Mashi says Iran understands that by helping the U.S., they help themselves. That simple fact eludes the U.S. Raza Remen, baby born with the virus? Oh, no. Oh, my God. It's terrible. Ring-tailed fox. Yeah, I've heard that Detroit is having is one of the harder hit places. Cobo Hall, which I've been to and been in many times, is being pressed into service as a field hospital in downtown Detroit. Wow, that's crazy. Cobo is like the convention center in Detroit, basically, right? Transit Windsor stopped all bus service as of midnight last night. Wow. It's pretty extreme. We still have bus lines and metro here, even though the schedule is not what it was. They're running not as frequently, but luckily we still have public transit here. We haven't I guess in California, not, everything has just kind of plateaued and stayed the same since last week. So there was a lot of like, oh, we're going to shut everything down, and they shut everything down, but there's still kind of quite a bit going on here from what I can see. Oswald Spengler, has anyone monitored gas prices since this all started? I mean, if I just drive down the street and look at the gas prices, they're pretty cheap. I got gas for $2.80, which in LA is wildly inexpensive. CB Unglesby $1.79 this morning in West Virginia. Yeah. So we're always about $1 more than the rest of the country, or the Midwest especially. At least $1 more, if not more, $1.50 or $2 more. But, right now we're averaging around $3 a gallon. With the ultra cheap places, sometimes as low as like $2.70, $2.80. Yeah, so let's I mean, looking at the oil prices today, holy shnikes. Um, as Chris Farley used to say, uh, the oil prices are rock bottom. So not just the impact of the lack of the use of fossil fuels, I'm sure is driving this. And then we still have the resultant effects of the oil war. This is crazy though, because Louisiana Light, which is one of the they have different prices for, I guess, different grades, or different kinds of uh, oil. Louisiana Light, which is one of the grades of oil, is $10.98 a barrel. $10 a barrel. That is wild. Mexican Basket is $13 a barrel. That is insane. The bottom is falling out of the oil industry, and it's falling out fast. Mars US is $15.36 a barrel. Ridiculously cheap. WTI crude is $19.50. Brent crude, which I guess is the kind of the standard bearer of prices, is at $25.73 a barrel. OPEC is 24.26. Urals at 21.75. That is just, if it ever looked bad for the fossil fuel industry, it looks bad right now, and we can only stand on the sidelines and cheer. Thank you. They are bleeding. They are bleeding from an open, gushing wound, and it is a beautiful thing to see. I relish the collapse of the fossil fuel industry. I know it's not going to be good for the rest of the economy. I don't care. Forest dweller, what is that? Cough, sneeze. Sorry, guys, please don't panic. What does that mean? Ring-tailed fox, gasoline at 68 cents a liter. Whoa, that's that's good and cheap, isn't it? Echoes of not. Would capitalism be that big of a deal without oil? Good question. That's an economic and an existential question, and I don't know. That's a deep question on many levels. Had Valmer, green cars, green economy, plant trees, civilization turns. This may be the best thing ever for climate change. What seems terrible for many, or too many at the moment, might end up being the best thing ever for many, and too many, eventually. Proudhon says fossil fuels keep the world fed. The green revolution of the 1960s relied on fossil fuels. This is very true. I agree. But if we didn't have fossil fuels, or if fossil fuels are widely and cheaply available right now. So I don't think that the agricultural industry is going to have any problem with that. I don't. If anything, this makes it easier to grow food and to ship food at the moment. So it's just bad for the fossil fuel industry, because they can't operate at this level. So I don't know. Does this eventually mean that oil will dry up? Like if let's say these companies start going belly up, they just can't operate anymore. They cease to function. Then do we start seeing the opposite? I mean, we have a glut of oil globally right now. But let's say these companies do start going under and going down, and you know, maybe not this year, or maybe the end of the year, or maybe next year, maybe we see a lack of fossil fuels because all of these companies have gone bankrupt. I don't know. D Truth, I just put a mask on. Okay. Are you guys talking about me? Anyways, whatever. I'm good. I have just generally like stuff in my throat all the time. I don't know why. I'm just always like hacking up stuff. So, and that is definitely a TMI moment, but I'm good. I'm good. Um, if I was bad, I'd let you know how bad I'm bad. Um, and the funny thing is, or the good thing is that, if I had something, none of y'all can get it. So that's good. Rejoice. Be of good cheer. Forest Dweller says, let's all give the big corporations a big hand for keeping us alive in these difficult times. I mean, that's a good question. No representation. Why would oil companies go down when they own every government in the world? Yeah. I mean, the idea that companies would actually go under or go down is pretty inconceivable. Even if they did go bankrupt, obviously the governments of the world would step in and take over those oil fields, right? Like, let's say, worst case scenario, Exxon and, Sunoco and all these oil companies just go down. They go bankrupt. The governments of the world just step in and take over the oil production. And it doesn't really matter what it costs to make it. It doesn't matter if it's, $20 or $30 or $50 a barrel to make. They're going to make it anyways. Because everything needs oil to run, right? So they're going to keep it running. D-Truth, are you sure? I'm not sure, man. Who knows? I'm not sure. But I've been pretty isolated. Pretty dang isolated. So, who knows? Anything can happen. Not ruling it out, but as of right now, as of today, I feel damn good. Feeling rested and, for the most part, somewhat optimistic. Conscious Agent asks, has the LA smog gotten a lot better? It has gotten deliciously clear and delightfully sunny here. It is a nice, beautiful spring day. We're supposed to be like almost to 80 degrees tomorrow. So it's going to be a nice hot spring day. There has been some very high temperatures on the East Coast and the South. Pretty high for March. I was actually looking at CB, told me that it was very warm the other day in West Virginia, and I was looking at the West Virginia temperature at 9 p.m. like 2 or 3 days ago. West Virginia was 77 degrees at 9 p.m. That's like summer temperatures, right? If it's still almost 80 degrees at 9 p.m. at night or 10 p.m., that's not spring weather. That is summer weather. That's highly unusual, right? So, there are some signs that we actually are seeing somewhat of a spike in temperatures. Is it due to lack of aerosol masking? Is it who knows what it is? Is it just the trend line that we were already on? I don't know. D True says I've had a cold for a month. Yeah. Well, and I generally, hey, get a little crazy. 80 is hot. Well, 80 is hot for, West Virginia. 80 is hot at night. If it's 9 o'clock at night and it's 80 degrees, Jesus Christ. That's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortably hot. So, Echoes of Not, my wife just asked me through her mask If your company closes because of this, will they keep paying our health insurance? Hardy heart. That's a good question. Most likely not, but maybe I don't know if they're still solvent, if they're still capable of paying for health insurance. I don't know. Mileage may vary depending on, but I've heard a lot of that happening, which is people are laid off, furloughed, lost their jobs, and now no health care. D-Truth, next 6 weeks will start warming. Christian Sorensen says keeping an eye on the dimming thing. I think that we all should keep an eye on the dimming thing. Ow, 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 ow. Golly, jeez. Okay. My dog likes to just bite me. She's having a good time, but I'm not necessarily having a good time. Ow. Anyways, let us move on to the other story I wanted to cover today. This is quite interesting. So a lot of you, and I guess I've heard from a few other sources that people were feeling like they had the coronavirus long before February or March. That they were having the same symptoms. So this is very interesting. This is from the South China Morning Post. Coronavirus pathogen could have been spreading in humans for years, study says. Virus may have jumped from animal to humans long before the first detection in Wuhan, according to research by an international team of scientists. Findings significantly reduce the possibility of the virus having a laboratory origin. Okay, we're gonna put that statement aside just for a second. It says significantly reduce the possibility of the virus having a laboratory origin. That's not ruling it out entirely. Director of the U.S. National Institute of Health says, but anyways, we'll just leave that alone for now. The virus that causes the COVID might have been quietly spreading among humans for years or even decades. This is from, what's the date on this? This is from yesterday. Before the sudden outbreak that sparked a global health crisis, according to an investigation by some of the world's top virus hunters. Researchers from the United States, Britain, and Australia looked at piles of data released by scientists around the world for clues about the virus's evolutionary past, and found it might have made the jump from animal to humans long before the first detection in the central China city of Wuhan. There could be other possibilities. The scientists said the coronavirus carried a unique mutation that was not found in suspected animal hosts, but was likely to occur during repeated small cluster infections in humans. Okay, the study conducted by Christian Anderson from the Scripps Research, I can say words, Institute in California, Andrew Rambo from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, or Edinburgh, Ian Lipkin from Columbia University in New York, Edward Holmes from the University of Sydney, and Robert Gary from Tulane University in New Orleans, was published in the scientific journal Nature Medicine on March 17th. Dr. Francis Collins, director of the U.S. National Institute of Health, who was not involved in the research, said the study suggested a possible scenario in which the coronavirus crossed from animals into humans before it became capable of causing disease in people. My browser froze there for a second. Then, as a result of gradual evolutionary changes over years or perhaps decades, the virus eventually gained the ability to spread from human to human and cause serious, often life-threatening disease, he said in this article published on the Institute's website on Thursday. In December, doctors in Wuhan began noticing a surge in the number of people suffering from a mysterious pneumonia. Tests for flu and other pathogens returned negative. An unknown strain was isolated. And a team from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, led by Shi Zhengli, traced its origin to a bat virus found in a mountain cave close to the China-Myanmar border. The two viruses shared more than 96% of their genes, but the bat virus could not infect humans. It lacked a spike protein to bind with receptors in human cells. Coronavirus with a similar spike protein were later discovered in Malayan pangolins by separate teams from Guangzhou and Hong Kong, which led some researchers to believe that a recombination of genomes had occurred between the bat and pangolin viruses. But the new strain, or SARS-CoV-2, had a mutation in its genes known as a polybasic cleavage site that was unseen in any coronavirus found in bats or pangolins, according to Anderson and his colleagues. This mutation, according to separate studies by researchers from China, France, and the U.S., could produce a unique structure in the virus's spike protein to interact with furin, a widely distributed enzyme in the human body. That could then trigger a fusion of the viral envelope and human cell membrane that came when they came into contact with one another. And some human viruses, including HIV and Ebola, have the same furin-like cleavage site, which makes them contagious. It is possible that the mutation happened naturally to the virus on animal hosts. SARS and MERS, for instance, were believed to have been direct descendants of species found in masked civets and camels, which had a 99% genetic similarity. There was, however, no such direct evidence for the novel coronavirus. According to the international team, the gap between human and animal types was too large, they said. So they proposed another alternative. It is possible that a progenitor of SARS-CoV-2 jumped into humans, acquiring the genomic features described above through adaptation during undetected human-to-human transmission, they said in the paper. Once again, these adaptations would enable the pandemic to take off and produce a sufficiently large cluster of cases to trigger the surveillance system that detected it. They said also that the most powerful computer models, based on current knowledge about the coronavirus, could not generate such a strange but highly efficient spike protein structure to bind. Okay. We'll have to take that at face value. In fact, any bioengineer trying to design a coronavirus that threatened human health probably would never have chosen this particular conformation for a spike protein, he said. Findings by Western scientists echoed the mainstream opinion among Chinese researchers. The occurrence of COVID-19 in Wuhan does not mean it originated in Wuhan. Wow. A doctor working in a public hospital treating COVID-19 patients in Beijing said numerous cases of mysterious pneumonia outbreaks had been reported by health professionals in several countries last year. Wow. 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 So, holy shit. This may have been going on. This may have been going on for a little while longer than previously suspected. And to the many people who have been saying that they've had very similar symptoms prior to, the official, known outbreak date, which would be like January, or late December in China. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe y'all had it. Maybe many people had it beforehand, and it just ended up clustering in Wuhan. Wow. So there is something to the fact that this might have been, and going back to when I was talking about the newscaster from the BBC, I believe it was, talking about China, I'm talking about Iran digging mass graves in October. How long was this spreading? Did governments or did institutions know about this before all this, broke into public consciousness. Rich Diana, roaming supermarket criminal gangs in Europe. Ooh. Gene says, it's hot here, gardening all day so we don't go hungry in the near future. Good idea. Good on you. Keep the gardens going. Get those gardens going, guys. Keep those gardens going. Get them up and get them running, and involve your neighbors if you can. But 6 feet away, of course, or with masks and gloves on. I don't know, however you want to do it. D Truth says just common cold. Are you sure? Are you positive? Proudhon says it's been going on for ages and its spread is not exponential. Don't be seduced by impressive words. I'm not often seduced by impressive words, although I like impressive words. I like to use them. I like to impress people with impressive words. I like to seduce people with impressive words. It rarely ever works, though, because nobody's seduced by impressive words anymore. Impressive words just aren't what they used to be. I kid, I joke. Common cold can lead to thinking you have got the COVID-19, but you haven't. Well, that's very true. Actually, to be honest, like I get twinges of, I'm about to get sick. I get those like fairly frequently, excuse me. Generally it's because I'm like dehydrated. But I knock it right out. Like if I get those twinges, I just drink a lot of water and take vitamin C. Take some vitamin C, depending on how heavy the twinge is. And generally it like knocks it right out. I've been having more of those twinges lately, to be honest. But I mean, usually if I just drink a bunch of water, they go away. So it's generally due to like dehydration or maybe lack of sleep. I feel kind of a little like, I feel like I'm coming down with something. But in these days and times, if you feel like you're coming down with something, oh my God, freak out time, right? First, I drink a lot of water, then I take a lot of vitamin C, and then I see how I feel later before I freak out. So D Truth, you're right on. You could have something, you could have just a regular cold, you could have a flu, you could have whatever, but Proudhon, Fauci wrote a paper a month back saying 0.1% case fatality rate. Well, the worst gang is called Tesco. That's funny. Indeed. CB Unglesby planted melons today. Good on you. Brian Smith, it's going to be a hot summer. Poppy Davis, or maybe you're just noticing health more. No, I mean, I generally notice my health, but I actually don't get sick a lot. Although, last year in the summertime, I had some kind of lung thing for a long time, for weeks. And it really took me down. But I had multiple things going on all at the same time. I had like a shoulder, I had like an injury to my shoulder that was, just wouldn't go away. And then I had insomnia. I couldn't sleep more than a couple hours a night. And then I was like, then I got sick and I couldn't get rid of the sickness because I had insomnia and my shoulder hurt. So like everything was happening all at the same time. But I usually don't get sick all that much because I stay on top of it generally like that. Had Vollmer, take vitamin C and D, definitely. Dana Swee, 0. Hey. Hey USA, and hope all is good. Hope you are good. I don't know where you're tuning in from. Scott Andrews, yes, I covered the hole in the ozone yesterday in the Arctic. I did talk about that. So if you want to check out yesterday's video, that was part of the discussion. Bobby Davis. No, I didn't have COVID. For So yeah, very quickly, I'm about to sign off, guys. But on the updates on the cases, we're up to 36,000 deaths total. 769,000 cases total. We're nearing 800,000 cases probably by tomorrow, or not probably, most definitely by tomorrow. Again, so I know that Dr. Fauci and others have cited this 0.1% fatality or mortality rate. I'm not really, I don't quite understand what they're basing that on, because now in the closed cases on the Worldometer site, we are now up to 19%. You know, in the closed cases, so 160,000 have recovered, almost 37,000 have died, and we're now, that's a differential, that's 19% mortality rate of the closed cases, not of total open cases. Now, in the active cases, we have a 5% serious or critical rate. However, the death rate is more than the numbers of deaths is more than those in serious or critical condition. So critical condition, 30,000, death rate 36, almost 37,000. So, you know, of the active cases, I know they're probably, hold on one second. Let me just, maybe I'll try and do some math. Not in my head though. 826. I don't know if that's right. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. Let's see. 86. Oh, I see what I'm saying. Okay. Maybe I'm doing something else. Is that right? Total cases. Am I doing this right, guys? Sorry, my math brain is not working. Deaths plus recovered. All right. Trying to do some math before I sign off. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Let's see. No, 4. Equals. Is that right? I don't know. Does anybody know what the death rate, you know, what the percentage of deaths to total cases is? Anybody? Anybody? Brian Smith, remember the vaping pneumonia. Proudhon says Fauci predicts Armageddon on behalf of Big Pharma, but writes a paper saying it's not serious. Henry Holt, hack. Thanks, Russ Taylor. I appreciate you. Comments freeze while we all wait for you to fail first grade maths. Thank you. It is. I am failing first grade maths. Mark Plant, 4.5%. So total deaths, is that total deaths to all open cases? Poppy Davis, you can. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the. Poppy Davis, we don't know total cases, though. Oh, you got it from COVID-19info.live. Yeah, no, but I'm saying like, okay, maybe they have. So if you, okay, maybe they're doing that different equation there, but still, it doesn't really seem like it equals 0.1% to me. Right? Am I right? Works in South Korea, it works out to be 1.3%. But still, that's not 0.1%. So it's higher than 0.1% death rate. It's higher than 1 or 2% death rate. Because all open cases, I mean, active cases to serious or critical is 5%. Just right there. And the, mortality to recovered in closed cases is almost 20%, 19%. That's huge. That's not 0.1%. That's not 1%. That's not 2%. That's not even 3%. In Italy, the death rate is almost 9%. Yeah. Rich Diana, what? Kevin is to math what Obama was to Ebonics? Yeah. Danny Swee 0 says 1 to 2%. I don't know. I'll figure it out and I'll have it for you tomorrow. But I'm just saying, like, the death rate to total cases. Yeah, maybe I don't know, 1 to 2%, maybe in the 3%. Yeah, I know what the percentage to deaths to recovered is, like 19%. But still, it's much more than 0.1%. And I think it's more than 1 or 2%. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, guys, I've got to take off. Thank you for joining in the chat. I appreciate you. Rich Diana, I picked a bad day to quit huffing paint. Picked a bad day to quit drinking furniture polish. Goes down smooth. I saw that, Scott Andrews, before I leave. Paul Beckwith said he wanted the ozone hole to move over Canada to kill the virus. Oh my God. Sometimes, scientists say some really dumb shit. I like Paul Beckwith. I love Paul Beckwith, but sometimes scientists say some dumb ass shit. Because, he didn't think that one through before he said it. I want the ozone hole to move over Canada to kill the virus. And and also destroy other people, destroy people's DNA, give people cancer. Etc. So it was a little bit weird. But I heard that. I did watch that video and I was like, Paul, what are you saying? Yeah, we don't know what the official death rate is or is going to be, but 0.1% is not what it is. But it's not going to be, it's not going to be millions and millions and millions, I don't think. I doubt it, unless it just keeps on reinfecting people. We'll see. All right, guys, that is my time. I appreciate y'all. Enjoy your day. Peace and chicken grease, as they used to say in the old country.